You're watching Meet the Ministers. My guest on the program is Queensland Attorney General and Deputy Premier Paul Lucas. Of all the responsibilities, of all the portfolios that you've had, what has been your most enjoyable? What was that one responsibility that really made you spring out of bed every day?
I like aspects of all of them. It's like asking you, which child do you prefer? I have 4 and I love them all equally, and they all have their frustrations and they all have their enjoyments. And really, it's the same when you're a minister. I've loved aspects of each of them. I love infrastructure. I love the fixing a hard problem. That's one of the great issues. You mentioned before about, what are some of the things that please you when you can fix a silly thing. I remember when we had a situation at a national level that we were making nurses from overseas countries who graduated from our universities do English language tests. Now that was just madness. And through force of action we were able to fix that up. That's tremendously enjoyable when you can fix something up that's wrong, to sort it out. And whether that's then the Tugun bypass early on in my career was in the no-go basket, was too hard. And we got there, we worked with the Commonwealth, worked with the New South Wales government, worked with the residents, and we got it built, and now it's there. So those are the sorts of things that really can and do give you enjoyment. Being Attorney General now, I think every lawyer who's in Parliament would like at some stage to be Attorney General, and the ability to focus on that. I'm very, very keen on consumer law. Issues like those gift cards that you get at Christmas. Why should they expire? Why should that happen? And what we might do at a national level to fix that. Each portfolio, you get out of it what you put into it. And I think it's a tremendous privilege to be a minister. I remember when I first became a minister, they come and they say, well, where do you go? What do you want to do? And I said, look, I'm happy to sit in a packing crate. To have the privilege of being a minister, to make those decisions is a great one. So they're all, they all have their challenges, and so I couldn't pick between one. I've enjoyed them all.
You've got degrees in law and in business. Is it a prerequisite these days to have a law and business background to go into government, do you think?
No, I don't think so. And in fact, what we don't want to do is have a parliament of people who are all the same.
Everybody speaking the same language all the time.
It's like a jury. A jury is not a jury of 12 lawyers. A jury is of 12 people in the community. And Parliament ought to be, farmers and doctors, engineers, truckies, police officers, nurses. Yep. It should broadly reflect the community. And I think increasingly it does. Law has been a tremendous advantage when it comes to reading statutes and interpreting things and understanding both sides of the argument, because as a lawyer, you really need to understand the other side of an argument, because you might be arguing it in a different case next week. So that has certainly been an advantage to me. No doubt about that whatsoever. But the last thing I want to do is to see a parliament that's full of people with university degrees. As the old saying goes, the world's not run by professors, as important as they are to the world.
Going back to your days at uni, that was a pretty interesting time to be involved in student politics here in Queensland back in the 80s. There was all sorts of things going on back then. Would you have done things differently with the benefit of hindsight that you have now? Of course, you've learned many lessons, but to go back, would you have changed what you've done? Would you have approached it in a different fashion?
Beyond anything else, my proudest achievement is my children. I love my children, and that ultimately, that's the one thing that you worry if you say, oh, I would have changed something. Well, then would your children have not existed? The butterfly fluttering in a part of the world, if it changes, does that make the rest of the world change? But having said that, I think that I went from university to a career as a lawyer, and then from there into Parliament, 10 years as a lawyer, and now I've been in Parliament for 15 years. I think probably I would have benefited from a year or two working overseas as a young lawyer, and I encourage young people to do that, to actually develop and broaden their mind. The best education that I ever got, far beyond university, was the 7 years that I worked at the Balmoral Hotel, in the drive-in bottle shop and in the public bar. And it wasn't like it is now. In those days it was a tough old place. I in fact got shot at in an armed hold-up one night. But meeting all the different people there, learning to relate to people. If you come from this closeted world of going to a private boys' school like I did, going to university like I did, working as a lawyer as I did, I don't think that then, without actually exposure to people in the broader community, you become very insular and isolated in how you think. My children all work part-time. I am absolutely fanatical about them doing that, whether that be one of them works in a burger place, two of them work at a club, and another one earns $35 a game as a rugby referee.
Yeah, okay.
And also works in summer at a shop. So I wouldn't change anything that I did, other than perhaps it would have been great to work overseas for a couple of years, and as a lawyer you can do that in the UK. And I would encourage young people to see that, because they see the world differently, but they also see what a wonderful place we've got in this country.
Very much so. We've just got a couple of minutes left. Do you have a timeline on your career in politics? Are you in politics until you retire? Do you have something else that you aspire to do with your life?
Oh, look, I think that the last thing you want to do is to, map out your life like that. First of all, there are one group of people who decide whether I have a job or not, and that's the people in my electorate of Lytton, Wynnum, Manly, Loder, Hemmant. Yep. Wonderful place. They'll decide, whether they're happy with me to continue representing them, and I love it. It's a wonderful privilege to represent them. But look, will I be there in 20 years' time? No, I won't. But I'm enjoying what I'm doing at the moment. I suppose the issue in politics is that you go at the appropriate time, before they want you to go, but when you feel that you've done everything that you can do. Yep. So look, that's not something that I get up and think about every day. What I get up and think about every day is what are the challenges ahead of me, and how can I change things and make them better.
What's the biggest challenge facing Paul Lucas in midway through 2011?
Oh, look. Personally, I think that I have got to work on my fitness. It's very easy in my job to neglect those sorts of things, and I'm certainly carrying a bit of weight. And a few years ago, I was, ran in the Gold Coast Marathon. Did the 10 kilometres, Bridge to Brisbane, did the 10 kilometres and that. And whilst I'm still doing the refereeing every weekend, I really need to improve my fitness levels, but more importantly, at a government level, I think it is to pursue the cause of law reform as Attorney General. I'm very interested in consumer law reform, because that interfaces with most people in the community. It's not big money, but it's significant to them. And then as Local Government and Planning Minister, I think that the Queensland of today is so much better than it was 30 years ago. The trees, the boulevards, the housing standard. And so to play my role in facilitating that even more. I love the regional nature of Queensland. We can develop this state in that way. It's a great challenge. I enjoy it.
Paul Lucas, it's been great meeting you.
Thanks, Shaun.
You've been watching Meet the Ministers. I hope you'll join us again next week.